Alrighty, welcome back to another Wisco Fanatics Wednesday. Jake and I have a handful of Milwaukee Bucks games. We have 3 Bucks games. We have 1 Badgers basketball game, and then we have a Badgers football game to recap and another one to preview their final game of the 2025 season. So before we do that, just going to start off with a cool special announcement that we have going, and that is Jake and I are going to be making our radio debuts next Wednesday. We are going to be, you might have actually seen the comments from Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Treg. He hosts a FM radio sports station on Wednesday evenings. It's going to start like right after our show, and he's been commenting on the show a lot lately, and he invited us on as Bucks correspondents, call it. So Jake and I, a week from today, will be making our radio debuts, which is really cool. We're very thankful to Treg. We've been trying to get on the radio for a while now, and it's happening. So we'll definitely follow up with some details on that, where people can listen, when they should listen. It is going to be pre-recorded, so it's not going to be live radio, but we're making our radio debuts next Wednesday. So
let's go, dude.
Cool stuff happening.
Yes, sir.
All righty. We're going to hit the intro, and we're going to get started.
Welcome to another episode of the Wisco Fanatics Show, where we cover the Packers, Bucks, Brewers, and Badgers basketball and football teams from an optimistic and realistic perspective.
Wisco Fanatics is brought to you by Cardboard Legacy, Wisconsin's most complete sports card shop. Buy, sell, grade, and consign all at their location in Oshkosh.
All righty. So 3 Milwaukee Bucks games to discuss this week, and unfortunately they're not super fun to talk about because they're all losses, and obviously, it's not as fun to watch when Giannis isn't playing. But Giannis isn't playing not for reasons that, he's traded or anything like that. So we still have that going for us. Giannis is still a member of the Milwaukee Bucks. That's not changing. So what will be changing is Giannis will be healthy soonish. He was actually listed officially as questionable for tonight. For tonight's game against Miami. So we'll talk about that a little bit when we get to what's next for the Bucks. But let's jump back to last Thursday. And Jake, give me your takeaways from the Bucks and 76ers.
First, before we start, I would like to say happy pre-Thanksgiving to everybody. If you have Thanksgiving today, if you had it yesterday, if you're having it tomorrow, Friday, whatever, I want everybody to be safe. And remember everything that you're thankful for. Gratitude will take you a long way. I'm thankful for a lot of stuff. I'm thankful for the show. I'm thankful for my buddy Tyler. I'm thankful for all the sports teams that we get to cheer for, the Bucks included, Packers, Badgers, Brewers. What's going on, everybody? How we doing? So just really wanted to be thankful for everything. And I'm thankful I get to talk about sports on the internet because, 40 years ago, they didn't get to do this kind of stuff. And now I get to sit in my basement and talk about a Milwaukee Bucks game. Yes, a game that they lost, and it was frustrating. First and foremost, I got to give credit to the 76ers and Tyrese Maxey. That guy is elite. He is so good. We saw that coming from a mile away a couple of years ago. He was really starting to figure a lot of things out, and he had it all figured out last Thursday against the Bucks, scoring 54. So the 2 things that I took away, the 2 main things that I took away from this game, if you're trying to find where this game went wrong from Milwaukee, right? The 2 things that were the difference maker were the free throw attempts and the makes. And that's obviously a theme that's been happening this entire season. And the 76ers were much more efficient scoring off of turnovers than Milwaukee. So if you look at the free throws, Philadelphia shot 21 of 26. That's 81%. That's very good for a team percentage. Also getting there 26 times is also good, shows good aggressiveness. They also shot 53 three-pointers. So to have 26 free throw attempts with 53 three-pointers is absolutely insane. The Bucks, in compared to that 53, they shot 36 threes. That's still quite a bit. Imagine telling somebody in 1998 that a team was going to shoot 53 three-pointers. They would have lost their minds and been like, what are they doing? But also, both teams had 14 turnovers, which really isn't that bad of a number when you think about it. But the Sixers ended up scoring 25 points off the Bucks' 14 turnovers, and the Bucks scored 16 points. So that's +9 right there. The 21 free throws they made, the Bucks made 10. So that's another +11 right there. So you're already talking about +20 in a game that went to overtime. Am I remembering? Yeah, they went to overtime. So, I mean, on top of that, Ryan Rollins had another phenomenal outing, 32 points, 6 rebounds, 14 assists. He shot 50% from the field, which is very good. The 2 for 8 from 3 could be a little bit better. But Miles Turner, a double-double for him, first double-double as a Milwaukee Buck, 14 and 10. Also hit 3 3-pointers. So if he's giving you a double-double hitting 3 threes, he's absolutely worth every single penny. That's just my opinion.
Yep.
Bobby Portis was inserted in the starting lineup. He went 9 for 14 from the field, very efficient, 19 points, 8 rebounds. Gary Trent Jr. scored double digits, but really other than that, there wasn't much offensive help. I know Kuzma had 17 points, but on 14 shots isn't the best efficiency that you would want. But, when you have a guy scoring 54 and then they're more efficient in some, important areas, that's tough to beat, honestly.
Fade asked what we're doing for Thanksgiving. Going to be playing basketball in the morning and hang out with family during the day. Jake's going to be camped out by the mashed potatoes.
No, actually, tomorrow, my girlfriend is taking my kids to her mom's house, so I am going to be alone watching Green Bay Packers with no questions about why they're running this on third down. No questions at all. I will be alone with my television. It's going to be the perfect day. I love my kids, but it's going to be a perfect day.
All right. Bucks 76ers. It is very funny to me that your first takeaway was to discuss Tyrese Maxey and our mutual respect for him.
Yeah.
My first note literally is, firstly, Jake and I feel similarly. Tyrese Maxey is one of our favorite non-Bucks players. And if the 76ers start a rebuild, they should trade Embiid before him.
Yeah.
Steve has said happy Thanksgiving. The Bucks need the Greek Freak back. They absolutely do. Jason Kusky, whoever that is, said I'll text you questions. Fade, thank you. You have a good Thanksgiving as well. I'm just kidding, Jason. Maxey, 54 points. He made some insanely deep threes, some really tough contested shots, and he scored on everybody. You look up and down the matchups, he scored on everybody. It was equal opportunity buckets from Tyrese Maxey. Mm-hmm. That said, Jake brought up free throws. Tyrese Maxey shot 14 free throws. The Milwaukee Bucks shot 13 free throws.
They sure did.
Jason asked if I would call the bubble screen. Hold that question for tomorrow.
Yeah.
The 76ers as a team shot 26 free throws, literally doubling the Bucks in that department.
Yep.
Suboptimal. Now, you brought up Ryan Rollins had a good night. Just not as good from the free throw line. Kuzma played decent. Like you said, he could have been more efficient. 17 points on 14 shots, was 5 for 7 from the free throw line. So Kuzma and Ryan Rollins shot 11 of the Bucks' 13 free throws. But Kuzma also added 3 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, and a block. So I mean, he's a contributor. Mm-hmm. Bobby Portis, you brought up, had a better game, 19 and 8. Gary Harris, I'm going to give Gary Harris some credit. He contributed again. I'm looking for 18 to 20 minutes from him. He played 20 minutes. He made his only shot. He had 3 points, 2 rebounds, an assist, and a steal. And the 76ers were 1 for 6 from the field when guarded by Gary Harris. Mm-hmm. The Bucks as a team did a good job holding VJ Edgecombe in check. He was 5 for 14 from the field, 3 for 4 on free throws. 3 for 4 versus Ryan Rollins. 1 for 1 versus Cole Anthony, but he was 0 for 3 versus AJ Green, 0 for 2 against Gary Harris, 0 for 1 against Kuzma and Bobby, 0 for 2 against Gary Trent Jr., and 1 for 3 against Miles Turner. So the Bucks did a good job against a top 2 rookie of the year candidate.
Yes.
And then the last thing I want to end on from the 76ers game, AJ Green played 36 minutes, and he only took 5 shots.
Yeah.
AJ Green should be shooting the ball once out of every 5 possessions.
I don't disagree with that.
More on that later. Going into the Bucks-Pistons game, I was lucky/unlucky enough to be in attendance. And again, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, I already know that Giannis is out, so it's not going to be as entertaining as it would be. Pistons were coming in an 11-game win streak. If I'm not mistaken, that has not yet been snapped, so now they're up to like 13 or 14. They're still going. The Pistons came out very aggressive defensively, including putting Asar Thompson on Ryan Rollins, which put him in a phone booth. It made him really tough. He struggled to start the game. Even a couple times he got downhill. He got blocked. at the rim a couple times. I texted Jake, and I'm like, Ryan Rollins needs to mix in a pump fake.
He sure does.
Or develop a floater, or the much less practical and hard to ask for thing is to just ask him to dunk on people more. Which, again, I understand is hard to ask for. I mean, he's a 6'4", 6'5" guy. To be asking him to run through the paint as a guy who's long and skinny like he is, to be trying to dunk on people all the time so he doesn't get his shot blocked. I understand that that's not a entirely realistic ask for every possession for him to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So develop a floater is the option.
Mm-hmm.
Some pump fakes. Or all the above. Or a mix of the above.
Well, what he could do really is what a lot of good point guards do is what we talk about it with all the upper echelon guys is learn how to play with a different pace. And that's the thing that people didn't talk enough about with Rajon Rondo, who we've talked about helping Ryan Rollins this year morph him into the guy that he's become. He needs to learn how to play with a little bit better pace. And to your point, this is one of my main takeaways from this game. I'm not trying to jump in and talk over you too much here, but you did talk last year about how Rollins struggles with full court pressure. And that, to the Pistons' credit, to the 76ers' credit, and, beyond teams that have been pressuring him full court, he is getting sped up. So he's not able to play at his pace, and that's something that I took away from this game. And I'm like, yeah, that's where Tyler is 100% correct with that full court pressure. It's speeding him up, and now he's out of his rhythm.
Yeah. I'm going to give Doc Rivers some credit, which some people aren't going to like, but I don't give a shit. Doc Rivers called a timeout after the Pistons grabbed an early lead. After they came out of that timeout, the Bucks made a clear adjustment that they were setting more screens for Rollins, running more dribble handoff, and that kind of helped get the offense going. It freed up Bobby Portis for some really good looks. He started 3 for 3 from the three-point line and 4 for 4 overall, and that helped get the offense going. What I said to you when it comes to the Pistons' aggressive defense, I said to you, I'm like, Kevin Porter Jr. would thrive in a game like this.
Oh, dude.
Kevin Porter Jr. would have loved Saturday's game.
He would have.
That type of physical, high pace, intensity, like that's the kind of guy that Kevin Porter Jr. is. I would have loved to see him in that game on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
I did like the Bucks. This Saturday game was kind of where they started running more zone with Andre Jackson Jr., Jericho Sims, and Miles Turner out there together. I think the combination of the length, the speed, and the athleticism, I think that's an interesting thing to put defensively. I think it puts pressure on opposing defenses, so I liked seeing that. Seeing a lot of people complaining about Miles Turner's output. To a point, it's the scheme a little bit because Miles Turner isn't just, parked on the block and getting, manufactured paint touches and stuff. He's one of the guys who's in one of the quadrants ready to shoot threes. Like that's kind of the role that he's playing offensively. I do think while Giannis is still out, they could be intentional a little bit more about getting him some more shots, but I'm also not feeling the need to force it because Giannis is going to be back sooner than later.
Yeah.
Speaking of increasing output, this is what I was just talking about in the 76ers game. AJ Green should be shooting at least 8, but somewhere between 8 and 12 three-pointers per game. At least 8 per game.
I think 8 is a great number to start with.
Yeah. If there's ever a game where AJ Green shoots 12 to 15 threes, I'm not even going to be mad at it. He's shooting almost 50% on threes.
Dude, he's going to make 7.
Yeah.
If he shoots 12, he's making close to 6 or 7.
Yeah. So I'm on board with that. Without Giannis, the Bucks still get a terrible whistle up to and including AJ Green. He might get the worst whistle in the league, honestly, based on some of the stuff that I see him get called for. Like some of the little bump fouls and shit, it's infuriating to watch some of the dumb stuff that gets called on AJ Green.
Dude, it's
Sticking on the subject of officiating. Challenges. Doc's first challenge was a really good one. It got a ball that would have been off of Bobby overturned into a foul. So that was a really good challenge. The second one was a basket interference that was called on Andre Jackson Jr. Called in the cylinder. Went to review. New York said that it was in the cylinder when it was, I would say, arguably the same as the one that the Kings got when the Bucks played the Kings a couple weeks ago.
That's fair.
If not, I think it was farther outside the cylinder than the one in the Bucks Kings game.
I think so.
Not to mention the Bucks were down by fucking like 19 points at that point too. Like,
right.
Really? Those are the points that were taken off the board?
Right.
So, challenged, reviewed, still called inside the cylinder, left the Bucks without a challenge when a couple possessions later, Andre Jackson Jr. gets about the cleanest block attempt on a dunk that you possibly can get. Meeting a guy at the summit, touching his hand a little bit, but getting mostly ball, which is not a foul in the NBA. We've seen plenty of it. Steve, I didn't clip any this week, but we've had a lot in the last couple weeks. I figured I'd pump the brakes on that a little bit because we've done a lot of ref video complaining over the last couple weeks. This week we're just doing verbal complaining. It's strictly verbal, but it's so frustrating seeing these things happening, and especially for a guy like Andre Jackson Jr. who's playing with so much effort, to see him have 2 effort plays taken away from him. It's super frustrating. Because you want to be encouraged by him going and getting a tip slam on a ball that's up in the air for an offensive rebound and him finishing that play, and him going up defensively to try to block a dunk attempt, looking like about the cleanest block attempt you can get, having it called a foul, and now you can't challenge it either because he got screwed on another play. So it's a really terrible, like the dirtiest yellow snowball that you can have rolling down the hill. So it's snowballed on Ajax in the worst way. We always want to make a point to point out and credit the effort when it's there. And those 2 plays to me showed exactly the type of effort that Ajax plays with. And unfortunately, it's not even like one of them went our way and one of them went the Pistons' way. They both went against the Bucks, which sucks, but it just is what it is. So that's what I got from Saturday. Before we move on to the next game, I'm going to let you give your thoughts, and then I'm going to say one more thing.
Okay. So Bucks Pistons. Pistons are currently on a 13-game win streak, by the way. I just went and looked while you were giving your breakdown. I wrote down that the Pistons were able to do whatever they want, and I don't mean that in a good way. They pretty much were able to play defense how they wanted to play. The Bucks' physicality, when they tried to match the physicality of Detroit, were whistled for some fouls. Yep. And after the next game, I wrote down the fouls called and the free throw attempts for the last 3 games. This is just over a 3-game period. When you hear these hardcore numbers, it makes you sick to your stomach is all I'm going to say. So again, free throws, the Bucks shot 12, the Pistons shot 24. So another game, rinse and repeat, where the other team doubled us up on free throw attempts. And then turnovers. The Detroit had 14 turnovers. The Bucks scored 14 points off those turnovers. The Bucks had 17 turnovers. The Pistons scored 30 points off those 17 turnovers. So again, you're getting doubled up in that area. You're getting doubled up in free throws, and you're without one of the best 2 players on the planet. Now, I'm not even going to say Jokic. I'm not even going to get – it's Luka right now. Luka's on another planet right now. That guy is insane. He had like 30 at half last night. I was like, Jesus Christ. He is so good. But this is the first game where I really started to think, going into the Blazers game, I started thinking this in the second half. I was like, yeah, Ryan Rollins' legs are just dead. His legs are so tired right now. We need Kevin Porter Jr. back in the worst possible way. Not only his scoring, his ball handling, his confidence.
Yep. His attitude.
The way that he goes about his business, a guy that can give you 30. I mean, without Giannis, Kevin Porter Jr. would be going nuts right now.
Yeah.
He'd be going crazy. Now, not
he'd
that
be playing some G-ball, but he'd be doing it.
He'd be doing it. 24, 5 and 7 for Rollins, 9 of 21 shooting, not terrible. Kuzma, I thought Kuzma had a chance to have a little bit better game. I think he let some opportunities slip away, in my opinion, but I think he could have had some opportunities to try to score a little bit more and take over a little bit. Kind of like what we saw in that Kings game. I know we keep going back to that, but he was carrying us in that fourth quarter. Dustin said Ryan overworks himself. He has no low gear. Actually, I don't disagree with that to a certain degree. I don't disagree with that. The last thing that I'll say, because I really didn't have many takeaways from this game, is I need Turner to dive a little bit more. And I need the Bucks to look for him a little bit more. Not just him diving. There was plenty of opportunities I saw in the 76ers game and the Pistons game where he's calling for the ball down there. Throw it down there.
Yeah.
And if you know anything about basketball, getting 2 feet in the paint means something good for your offense.
No.
You're either going to get a good shot because you're close to the rim and you're establishing an area close to the rim, or you're going to break down the defense from the inside out and you're going to get open shots. That's exactly what Giannis does. I would like us to look a little bit more for Turner inside, and that's just my takeaway from Saturday.
I can agree with you, especially on Saturday, because Tobias Harris ended up being the guy guarding Miles Turner for big chunks of that game, and they were getting away with it.
Yeah, I'm telling you, dude.
Because Miles Turner can put Dustin said swing it too. Miles Turner can put Tobias Harris in the rim.
Yes.
Like he can absolutely do that. And to your point, if they're going to help off of Tobias, or help Tobias Harris out onto Miles Turner, all that means is every step closer to Miles Turner that somebody on the wing gets, that's one step away from AJ Green and Gary Trent and Cole Anthony, even one step away from shooters that they're getting when they're stepping closer to Miles Turner.
Yep.
Now, last thing I'm going to say before we move on. I'm seeing way too much. If this team, quote unquote, isn't at this point, quote unquote, in this time frame, quote unquote, we should trade Giannis. Do you think, even if you believe this roster is as bad, that Cavaliers fans would have talked that way about LeBron James in the mid 2000s or the late 2000s?
Never.
No, because you do not trade generational players.
No.
Ever. You just don't do it.
Unless
I would rather win 25 games this year than trade Giannis.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on. What did you take away from Monday?
Oh, this game really irritated me, but we'll talk about it, rip the Band-Aid off. So, with GA missing his third straight game, that forced Doc to try a new lineup, and this is something that you and I discussed before the game. They took Bobby Portis, put him back in his regular role as the sixth man, which he is fantastic at, no matter your disagreements on it. Yes, he does not play defense. He does provide offense. Over these last 3 games, he was actually really, really efficient scoring-wise. I'll just say that. But they entered Sims into the starting lineup. He only ended up playing 11 minutes total. And he had 1 shot attempt, which was a lob pass to him in the second quarter, which would have been an absolutely insane finish, I will say.
He was so
crazy that he even got to it, honestly. I was like, holy shit. I was impressed by the miss. When you're impressed by the miss, it was going to be a crazy shot.
Yeah.
But it felt like the Blazers hit the ground running and the Bucks hit the ground speed walking. Is kind of the way that I took.
The thing that annoys me is because people were super mad about, losing to the Blazers, which is what it is. But the Bucks played to the Blazers' weaknesses. Like, they came in, they said it on the broadcast like 34 times. The Blazers are not a good 3-point shooting team.
Yep. And
they defied their season weakness in this one game.
They sure did. They shot 18 of 43. That's 42%. That's elite level stuff.
That's annoying.
They made a ton of threes. Now, if you want to talk about free throw disparity,
yep.
Jeremiah Grant had a great game, scored 35, but he had 14 free throws in the first half by himself. He finished the game with 19 free throw attempts, and the Bucks had 18 for the entire game. The Bucks were 14 of 18, and Portland was 25. They had 7 more makes than we had attempts of 33. So they shot 76%. The Bucks shot 78%. They made 7 more free throws than we attempted. That is absolutely disgusting. Another shout out to Bobby Portis. He was cooking in the first half, carrying the Bucks to keep them in the game, with Portland running up and down, getting whatever they wanted. They were absolutely on one on Monday for some goddamn reason. I also saw, I got a couple things I want to say. I saw that people were complaining that the Bucks gave Damian Lillard a tribute video. This girl on Twitter, her name is Hannah Hoops. She said, this might be an unpopular opinion. She shared the Bucks tribute video. She said, maybe we should save tribute videos for people who actually contributed to the roster. I have a few things to say. 1, just because it didn't work out doesn't mean that they didn't it wasn't an insane move because a couple years prior, 2 years ago, when Damian Lillard was available, if your favorite team had a chance to trade for Damian Lillard, guess what the fuck they were doing? They were trading for Damian Lillard. 100%. You cannot tell me with a straight face they would not have.
Yep.
Even the Golden State Warriors, who have Steph Curry, who is one of the 2 greatest point guards of all time, were trading for Damian Lillard if they had the opportunity. Everybody would trade for Dame.
Yep.
Some unfortunate situations happened. Nobody can predict a blood clot.
Yep.
It kind of took over the NBA last year, to be honest with you.
Yep.
I mean, Victor Wembanyama getting it. Chris Bosh had it a couple years ago, 7-8 years ago. And he did. Andrew is on par.
Andrew's right.
He contributed to our NBA Cup, 100%. So with that opinion, and if you're new to the show, I like to talk a little bit of trash. You could take that opinion and shove it straight up your cornhole, is what I'm going to tell you with that. One last thing I want to talk about. So I told you I was going to give you some numbers, right? So
can I jump in before you do the whole 3 games?
Yeah, go ahead, buddy. Go ahead.
I just want to talk about this game individually before you collectively wrap them up.
Go ahead.
So I'm gonna save the free throwing for the end because that's gonna tie back into where you're going for this. I know we've talked about it already today. I brought it up at times. We can't have Ryan Rollins handling the ball full court under pressure. Mm-hmm. When Kevin Porter Jr. is back, this is something I said to you last night. I want to see Ryan Rollins play some shooting guard minutes. I'm very interested in that with, we're going to be seeing obviously Kevin Porter Jr. back, and I trust his ball handling under pressure just a little bit more because I feel like he's got that change of pace. But it's something I'd be interested to see. I think Ryan Rollins is a average ball handler for a point guard, but I feel like he would be an above average ball handler for a shooting guard.
Yeah.
Steve said, I don't know how many times I've heard Miami being the top candidate for Dame. So yeah, I agree. That's 100% fair. Dustin asked, do you feel NBA players are weaker now when they were back in the Jordan era? I don't even think it's necessarily a weakness thing. I think players today are probably stronger, but I feel like so many guys are trying to manipulate the game.
Yeah. I feel like pace has something to do with it too. With showing strength, I feel, I don't know. I can make a whole video on that. Honestly.
I feel like with like modern medicine and all the, all the training and stuff that everybody does, like all the hyperbaric chambers and stuff like that, I feel like people are probably stronger, but like I said, I think they're trying to manipulate the game more. Reggie said all love for Dame. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely all love for Dame.
Yeah.
Bobby, to me, was the highlight of the game. He came in hot for the second game in a row, and I would say arguably 3 games in a row, shot 9 of 15 from the field, 4 or 5 from the three-point line. Steve, especially the three-point shooting, that absolutely is a big factor of the pace. Bobby added 6 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 steals to his 22 points. Cole Anthony also played very efficient basketball. He was 8 of 12 from the field, 8 for 8 on his 2-pointers. He had 16 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, and a block. Bobby and Cole Anthony, I said this, I think 2 weeks ago, they are a pretty good pick-and-roll duo.
You did say that.
And I love being smart because there was a graphic that came out, and this is as of the 21st. So this would have been as of last Friday. The Bobby and Cole Anthony pick-and-roll averages more points per pick than Donovan Mitchell and Jared Allen, Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic, Austin Reeves and DeAndre Ayton, Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns, Devin Booker, Mark Williams, and is more efficient per pick than Cade Cunningham and Isaiah Stewart and James Harden and Ivica Zubac. So all we need to cut him, give Sears all of Cole Anthony's minutes just because they had some bad shooting games, and I've been very critical of Bobby's defense and his rebounding and his effort at times. They are still a good pairing offensively, especially in the pick and roll, and the numbers back it up.
Yeah, 100%.
Dustin said we have a bunch of great role players, but no superstar other than Giannis and Miles. I'm so glad you said it that way because that is how the Thunder are built. They have a superstar, they have a couple stars, and they have a bunch of really good role players.
Yeah. But they're allowed to play physical defense. So
yeah. The Pacers, who were in the finals last year, they had two, I would say, elite players, a star, and a bunch of role players.
Yeah.
That's where the NBA is going. We're finally moving out of the big three type era.
We definitely are.
Okay. Back to Monday. Gary Harris was useful. He didn't shoot it all, but he still contributed 3 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, and one of his assists was probably the best play of the night. Was a super clean dime to Miles Turner for a dunk, quite possibly the play of the game. Miles Turner didn't shoot well, but he was 13 points, 11 rebounds, 4 blocks. That's not bad. Another double-double for him, and obviously 4 blocks is great. Now, on to the role player aspect of this. Some of the role players, they're starting to come along. With Giannis out, if they stay that way when he's back, the Bucks are going to be fine. We are 18 games in. That's 22% of the season played so far. That's it's not a terrible place to be. It's obviously not an ideal place to be under 500, but we are not even a quarter of the way into the season. Dustin said, sadly, players want to make too much money and they don't care about their team. They care about themselves too much nowadays. That's why, one of the things, especially when it comes to baseball that Jake and I talk about, and partially with football, but baseball especially, is having players with good character. Pat Murphy talks about it all the time.
I do agree with you, but there is a couple players on this Bucks team that could have got paid elsewhere. Like Bobby Portis, he stayed. AJ Green probably could have got the bag somewhere else. He actually took a pretty good deal for us. He's not overpaid, in my opinion. Gary Trent Jr., as much as everybody wants to complain about him, he's way underpaid for his experience level.
He could probably be making in 1 year what he's going to make in 2.
Yeah, easily. Kevin Porter Jr. He looked like he was about to go crazy. I'm not going to lie to you. That first game, he was going nuts in the first.
He had 9 points in 8 minutes.
Yeah, he was going crazy. Giannis, he stayed loyal to us. I mean, the Bucks, you talk about character. We talk about that all the time as well.
Yep.
I feel like the Bucks are a high character organization, and we have a lot of high character players, which is why people are attracted to re-sign here.
Yeah. Andrew said Diary Bird is the GOAT. Pretty sure he meant to say dairy. Not letting you slide, Andrew. So to end on the free throw aspect of this, which sucks, so annoying, the first half, the Trailblazers shot 21 free throws. The Bucks shot 4. Are we so fucking for real right now? 21-4.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Dustin said the cost of living in Milwaukee is so much less than other NBA cities. I mean, if you go to Miami or Orlando, there's no income tax.
That's fair.
So I mean, there's aspects of being in great places. Some guys would rather be in LA making a minimum deal just for the sake of being in LA. Andrew said spelling is not my forte. Hey, I knew what you meant, but I still had to give you shit. Reggie said we're winning tonight, and that's all that matters. That would be great. Okay. Jeremy Grant, like you said, he is averaging a career-high 6.6 free throws per game going into this game.
Mm-hmm.
After Monday, he is now averaging 7.4 free throws per game. This singular game, 19 games into the season, 20 games into the season, raised his average by almost a free throw a game because he shot 19 free throws, like Jake said. Giannis' season high is 18. What the hell?
Yeah.
Game free throws were 33-18. The Bucks were called for 26 fouls. The Trailblazers were called for 16 fouls. The Milwaukee Bucks are called for the 7th most fouls per game so far this year and are 5th in fouls per defensive possession. They are tied for 2nd in the least fouls called. And I will say the only 2 teams that have a similar gripe to the way that they are being officiated versus the way that officiating is going against them is Boston and Golden State.
Yep.
It feels really weird to kind of feel some sympathy for Boston fans who are arguably in a worse spot than the Bucks are. But Boston and the Warriors are the only 2 teams that have a similar gripe with how bad the disparity is. And Jake's going to give the numbers for this whole week. But the thing about this frustrates me so much, and you might have gathered this already just from Jake giving you the free throw and the 3-point numbers, is I don't think the Bucks opponents are being so much more aggressive.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Because this game, you look at this game, the Bucks shot 37 threes and the Blazers took 43. So it's not like there's this huge disparity of where, the Portland Trail Blazers only shot 18 3-pointers. So they're playing, so downhill and they're playing inside the 3-point line. They shot more threes and still got double the free throws. This is not a singular game thing. Coming into this week, it was 7 of the 9 games that the Bucks had played that they were getting outshot in attempts, and the other team was making more attempts. It's ridiculous that this has happened like 80% of the time now, where the Bucks are not even getting as many attempts as other teams are making.
Yeah.
And then we're coming into with teams playing without players. Like the Blazers were playing obviously without Dame, but without Drew Holiday. Like the Kings are who they are. The Pacers were playing without obviously Halliburton, and they were missing. Were they missing Neesmith or Nembhard? They were missing one of the two. And TJ McConnell, and they got 39 free throws, 38 free throws that game.
Yeah.
Why? And looking at tape, the eye test, the numbers, the 3-point shooting, there's nothing you can say of this is why Bucks opponents are getting so many more free throws than they are. Not to mention, we have Giannis Antetokounmpo, and not to mention, it still blows my mind that a ref actually said this to Doc Rivers that they're not calling fouls because he's playing through them.
He's literally getting treated like Shaq, dude.
And I said it last week. I'm like, if you are one of the people that likes college basketball more than the NBA, in the year 2025, I can understand where you're coming from.
Yep, I agree.
It is incredibly frustrating. It's not like I said to Jake yesterday. I said it's not like it's 1 or 2 games here or there. It is constant.
Yeah,
it's more rare where the Bucks outshoot their opponents, and it shouldn't be because we have Giannis. But even with that, like Kuzma is playing downhill, Rollins is playing downhill, Gary Trent Jr. to a point is playing downhill, and none of these guys are getting defensive foul calls.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very frustrating. But Jake, you had the numbers on the last 3 games in totality, so I'll let you give that before we bring in Mike to start talking Badgers basketball.
Yeah, so I wrote down the fouls for the last 3 games and the free throw disparity because I was like, I got to see these numbers hardcore, right? So against Philly, the Bucks committed 19 fouls, and the opponent, Philadelphia, committed 15 fouls. So you're already -4 there. Detroit, the Bucks committed 19 fouls again, and Detroit committed 17 fouls. So another -2. Against the Portland Trail Blazers, the Bucks apparently committed 26 fouls, and the Portland Trail Blazers committed 16. So you're at -16 foul calls for the entire week. On the week, the opponents were called for 48 fouls. That's a 16 average. And the Bucks were called for 64 fouls. That's 21.3 average. So that's an average of 5 more per game. So you want to wonder about free throws, right? Because not every foul is sorry, Mike's having a hell of a time in the back room here. Honestly, you just tell him to just go with voice. He doesn't need picture. Just go with voice.
Said it's still too early in the season. We've seen the Bucks play better in the second half of the season. That's absolutely true.
Yes.
When we get into the what's next, I'm going to mention a couple other things too that are kind of going on. But
yeah, real quick, I don't want to bore you guys with too many numbers here. So talking about free throws, the Bucks shot 43 free throws over the last 3 games. They made 32 of them, so that's 74%. All right, not bad for a team. Not bad. Now, without Giannis, I'd like that number to be around 77, 78%, but it is what it is. The opponents shot 83 free throws, and they made 61 of them. That's 73%. They shot 40 more free throws with 16 less fouls called.
Dude, you could have told me that was in 8 games, and I would have believed you. That would be about 5 free throws a game. That I could handle. You're talking a 40 free throw disparity in 3 games. That's like 13 1/3 free throws per game.
Tyler, I took my notebook after I wrote that down. I went just like this. And I chucked it at the wall because I was so mad seeing that we shot 40 less free throws. 40 in 3 games.
In 3 games is wild.
That's insane. That's not okay. So
not to mention that's just the fact that shooting 83 free throws in a game is
over 3 games.
83 free throws in 3 games.
Yeah.
That's 27 free throws per game on average.
That's crazy. Yeah, they gave up 26 free throws, 24 free throws, and 33 free throws. 13 for the Bucks, 12 for the Bucks, 18 for the Bucks. 43 to 83. That is just not okay. Hey, Andrew, with all the mafia stuff going around with the betting, that's a crazy comment, bro. I love that comment. So. Anyways, move on. That's good.
All right. So looking at what's next for the Bucks, they play tonight in Miami. They play Friday at New York. They play Saturday home against Brooklyn. Why the fuck is that not a road game if they're already in New York? You're going to have them go from Miami to New York to Milwaukee and then back over to the East Coast to go to Washington?
Yeah.
Why would you not just make that a 4-game road trip?
That's a good question.
Not to mention that it's a fucking back-to-back. You could have left them in New York.
Could have quite literally just left them in New York.
Like, ugh. So we're going to have a back-to-back on Saturday, Friday, Saturday. So even if Giannis does come back Friday, he's obviously not playing Saturday or vice versa. If he comes back Saturday, he's obviously not playing Friday. Like,
yeah.
Why is the NBA like this?
They
have the worst you right in the face. The second night of a back-to-back, they're in New York. Why have them play again in New York, 5 blocks away? No, let's send them back to Milwaukee so they can go back to Washington, D.C.
Dude, they have the worst refs and they have the worst schedule makers, dude. Not even like, dude, that's non-negotiable. Those 2 things are non-negotiable. The best refs are MLB. People complain about umpires. Hardest one. That's the hardest one.
I think if you look around the bases, Major League Baseball is the best. There are some really bad umpires, and I'm very excited that the AAA challenge rule is coming next year because that's going to correct a lot of stuff, just like replay has.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think it's even remotely close, especially when you factor in like what officiating is rewarding, which is flopping and manipulating.
NBA refs are by far the worst, dude. By far.
So that's what they have next. And then to Sed's point about the Bucks being better in the second half, they're going to make a move of some sort. We don't know exactly what it is, but there are reports today that the Milwaukee Bucks are calling Sacramento and gauging the trade market for Zach LaVine.
He would fit nicely with Giannis.
That he's a bucket. He's not a defensive-minded guy by any means, but he's athletic, and he has become a stupidly good at times three-point shooter over the last handful of years, as he's lost a little bit of athleticism due to some of the injuries that he's had. But he's been pretty healthy over the last couple of years when he's been in Sacramento, and he would be a solid piece. And I don't think he would cost too much just because he makes a lot of money. So I feel like that's a way for the Bucks to get a impact player, and thankfully they are in a good spot money-wise. The Bucks are still under the first apron, so they are in a decent spot money-wise to be able to make it that. So,
and I think the Kings are trying. I think what they want to do is shed some money. So
that's exactly it. So I mean, if the Bucks can, if they can make it work of like Kuzma, Ajax, and a second-round pick, like that might be enough for the Kings to get out from under Zach LaVine. And the Kings have reportedly been interested in Kuzma over the last couple of years. So it's not like a far-fetched thing of like, oh, nobody's going to take Kuzma from us. Like,
the way Kuzma's playing this year, his trade value is way up.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else you want to say about the Bucks before we bring in Mike and talk about Badgers?
No, I just cannot wait to stare at Mike's chest.
There it is. Hey.
Can you guys hear me first off?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, good. Thank you, Jake. I appreciate that comment. I really do. I thought it was maybe, I thought you were going to say my face or something like that. Maybe even butter me up some more, but I'll take the chest. That's all good.
That's all we can see in the back
you
room.
Look down below. That's all it shows.
Yeah.
All right. So we only had one Badger basketball game over the last week. Steve said, "What's up, Mike?" Only one
How you
Badger
doing,
basketball game over the last week. It was a loss to BYU at the Salt Lake purple court, which was really annoying to look at. But that's where we were at. So, Mike, I'll let you go first and discuss the guards.
Yeah, this was definitely a tough one, boys. I'll start with Nick Boyd. He played 27 minutes, 16 points, 2 rebounds, 2 turnovers, 2 steals, 7 of 14 shooting, 0 of 4 from the 3-point line. He was able to find some success driving to the bucket. I guess that's probably the best part of his game, arguably. So we were able to find some success there. Unfortunately, the refs were a little foul happy in this game. Nick Boyd got called for an absolute shit call for his second foul against AJ Debansa. Clearly, he beat him to the spot, and he still got called for a blocking foul. I think that's just you guys are just literally talking about referees, and I think this can kind of trickle over to the college game as well. I mean,
Yep.
I don't know what else you have to do to be in a set position like that where you clearly beat him to the spot at the free throw line. You had a good step or two before AJ even got there. So I will never understand that, but we can talk about shitty refs again some other time. But once Nick Boyd picked up his second foul, I feel like that not just obviously it costed him, but it also costed the team quite a bit too. And even when a guy like Braden Carrington came in, brought in the spark, he goes and picks up 2 fouls, and that's 2 of your top guards like that are out of the game now for the rest of the first half to go along with Andrew Rohde too, who also had 2 fouls. So you had 3 of your main guys had 2 fouls fairly early into this first half. So I think that kind of ruined the mojo and the juju of this game.
One of the notes that I put down was that AJ Debansa already gets an NBA whistle, so that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, you saw it the whole game too. It wasn't even just that, but I think that kind of just like set the tone. Like, okay, now we know how this one's gonna go. So just coming from behind or trying to anyway. But no, it threw the whole team out of rhythm. It was unfortunate, but the one thing, and I trickle this back to this really got Nick Boyd out of rhythm and the team. But he won another game with having 0 assists again. That's just something that I did want to call out because you guys heard me. I think it was 2 weeks ago, or was it last week? I forget. Yeah, 2 weeks ago. They had another game in which he had 0 assists. So it's just something that I'm going to keep monitoring. But no, once he picked up that second foul, that was kind of that main point where we're in for a long night, unfortunately. But no, that sucked. But then Jack Janicki comes in. He played 19 minutes. Didn't stuff the stat sheet, but he still had 5 points, 2 rebounds. And 1 assist. But no, this was definitely a great team. BYU, they are Final Four potential, no doubt about it. And I'll just give my big picture thoughts after you guys are done talking about your piece.
So I'm just going to jump in right away on Andrew Rohde because, like you said, I think he got some cheap fouls. Being called for a blocking foul for just existing.
Yeah.
Also, Jake, I know you were the one that said this, but I was thinking it too, and this is where my AJ Debansa already gets an NBA whistle comment came from. Waiting till the guy misses the shot, and if he misses, then we're calling a foul. That is 100% an NBA official move to be doing.
Yeah.
To wait to see if a guy misses or makes a shot. If you're not going to call a foul if he misses or if he makes it, should not be a foul if he misses. That's one of the things I hate about the NBA, of the NBA officiating. Waiting to see if a guy misses, because then you blow the whistle after the shot goes out and everybody's looking around like, okay, if it was a foul, we should have called the foul. It shouldn't depend on the result of the play. You shouldn't be making a call with hindsight. So Rohde had a very quiet game, 5 points on 5 shots, 4 rebounds, a block, a steal, and a turnover. I think, like Mike said, some of these guys were affected by early foul trouble and not being as aggressive as we'd like to see them. One thing I will say is John Blackwell did stay aggressive. This might have been one of his worst shooting games as a Badger, 3 for 13 from the field and 1 for 5 from the 3-point line. Not for a lack of good looks. He just did not have his mid-range touch on Friday. What I will say is he did stay aggressive, especially offensively, did get to the free throw line 12 times. just only made 7 of them. If he's making 9 out of 12 free throws, then that's a great spot to be. So good thing for him for staying aggressive, even though he's not hitting shots. And then Braden Carrington, he was a very effective spark plug, like Mike said. He did a really good job getting into the wings and finding his shot. He made 4 shots, all threes. He kept the Badgers close in the first half. While the rest of the offense was kind of struggling, he finished with 14 points, 2 rebounds, and assists, and made both of his free throws. Steve said Badgers are a top 25 team for sure. Just a tough loss to BYU. Providence next. That is tomorrow.
Right after the Packers game.
Yep.
Yeah, it's perfect, man. It's perfect.
So yeah, the Badgers are probably like 27th.
Yeah, they were like 26 or 27. Like
I think they were 26.
Yeah. BYU even moved down a spot from 8 to 9.
Yeah.
Which is weird, but whatever. But it's seeing the Badgers get doubled up on 3-point makes that created a plus 21 for BYU. So that was a tough spot to be in. But Braden Carrington has been a pleasure to watch so far this season. So.
All right, I guess it's my turn. All right, I'll start with the bad news. And his name was Austin Rapp. He was
brutal.
He was on the struggle bus. 2 points both from the free throw line, 0 for 7 from the field, 0 for 5 from the 3-point line. This guy's our starting power forward, had 0 rebounds, 0 assists. He was I don't even know how else to say it, dude.
It was rough.
Nolan Winter, he had a nice double-double, 14 points, 14 rebounds, 2 assists. He was doing his normal thing. He also had a block and a steal. That's Nolan Winter. Rapp also had a steal, so I should give him credit for that at least. Bielowskis, 13 minutes, 0 points. He shot 1 shot, and it was a 3-pointer, and I'm going to be honest with you, it felt like it was forced. I feel like he's forcing himself to try to become a classic Wisconsin big. If that's not your game, my guy, I'm going to tell you right now, a neutral site game against the top 10 team is not the time to be experimenting. On top of that, Will Garlock, he played 7 minutes, had a rebound and assist. The guy is like allergic to shooting, I think. I don't know. But Austin Rapp, dude, my final thoughts on Austin Rapp. Just take the shot that's in rhythm, dude. He had 2 3-point attempts that I was like, okay, that was a good shot. And he actually airballed one of them. But I was like, okay, because it felt like it was within the offense.
That's kind of how I felt about John Blackwell. Like he was getting some good looks at some mid-range shots, and it's like, okay, those are good shots. I'm not going to be like, oh, he shot terrible because he's taking bad shots. That's not how I felt about John Blackwell either. So that's a good thing to bring up.
That's really just my main thoughts. And like, I don't understand basketball defense anymore from watching my 2 teams play over this last week. Why does it feel like every other team is allowed to throw body, chest up on people? That's what we were taught too when physicality was coming up. Chest up,
show your hands and
I felt like both my teams were doing that, and the opponents were doing that. I'm okay watching a slobber knocker. I really am.
Yeah,
I prefer physicality, anyways. That's why I migrate towards football. That's why most of America migrates towards football. We like physicality. People like UFC because of that reason. Let them play. If you're going to let one side play, let both play. And I felt like, even though this was a neutral site game, it was 11 fucking minutes from the BYU campus. That's not a neutral site game.
That's like calling Lambeau Field a neutral site for the Badgers. Like,
what are we doing?
So it's a glorified home game.
That's a home game for the Badgers.
Yeah.
I'm okay saying that. Like next year when we play in Milwaukee, that's a home game for Wisconsin.
Against Nova next month? Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. I was don't we play BYU home and home? We play them next year.
I think so. Yeah. That's
what I was referring to. Is we have a home and home. So
yeah.
It is what it is.
So like Steve said in the comments, we mentioned it. The Badgers, they play Providence tomorrow, early afternoon, pre-evening, however you want to say it. So that's Badger basketball. Now, just as we all predicted, Badger football is here to save us. Badger football being the bright, shining star, the North Star, the Polaris that it is. Badger football here to save us this week. from talking about all losses this week. So let's start with the offensive line.
Yeah, the boys up front, they dominated. This game was one of the trenches on both sides of the football, and the offensive line absolutely looked phenomenal. This was their fourth game in a row playing with the same offensive line lineup, I should say. They've had 7 different lineups for the offensive line, but this is their fourth game in a row with this lineup, and you can tell that they're starting to get some continuity up front, starting to click a little bit. Starting to get a little bit more comfortable with people, opening some big old holes. Now, they did give up 5 sacks in the passing game. I do believe that some of that is due to quarterback experience and quarterback holding onto the ball a little bit too long. But the passing game was efficient. They went 11 for 15 overall, so they blocked well enough to allow them to go 11 for 15. And it felt like an old-fashioned Wisconsin team because they ran the ball 44 times. What a beautiful sight for these sore eyes, let me tell you. 44 rush attempts. They still held a 4.8-yard average. Beautiful stuff from the Badgers line.
Yeah. I'm going to let Mike end on the running game, so we end on a high note with the offense. Not that the passing offense was bad, but they didn't pass much, but I did like some of the layered routes that Jeff Grimes had. I think there was some better play design out there for Carter Smith, who started 5 for 5. I think also Jeff Grimes called some really great misdirections, which is some of the stuff that I was looking to see. I do think Carter Smith missed Jaden Ballard potentially for a potential touchdown, but the next play he converted a 3rd and 14 to Tretch Kahuna, and then Darian Dupree scored on that drive. I do think Carter Smith needs to throw the ball away a couple times. There's some opportunities for him as a learning experience, learning when to throw the ball away and not take negative yardage. There's, I think, 3 or 4 times that I saw Carter Smith running out of bounds for a loss of 2, 3, 4 yards, where it's like, okay, if you throw the ball into the stands, we're 2 yards farther up than we are right now.
Yes.
So I think that's
he did that multiple games now.
What did you say, Mike?
He did that in back-to-back games now. So, I mean, that's something that's got to be corrected. It needs to be, needs to be really, put into
That's a learning opportunity for sure.
Yep.
Yes.
Speaking of opportunity, there was an opportunity answered, and that is getting the ball in the hands of Tretch Kahuna. He had 7 touches for 70 yards, converted a 3rd and 11 on the ground, which Mike's going to talk about. But getting the ball on Tretch Kahuna's hands, I mean, I said it last year and I think even the year before that he's got superstar potential.
Mm-hmm.
So getting the ball in Kahuna's hands is only going to mean good things for your team. So passing game was good. Mike, how did you feel about the running game?
I just want to say, first off, I think you could actually argue this is Tretch's best game as a Badger, pretty damn close. Just because with how he was utilized, not just in the passing game, but the ground game too. And he obviously got the ball. I can't remember the last time he got this many touches in the game, to be quite honest. It was actually pretty high if you think about it. So, aside from that first catch that he had when he fumbled accidentally, he was everywhere, man. So it was good to see Tretch definitely get involved. First off, I just want to give a shout out to the Badgers offense as a whole. This is the first time since week 2 that we eclipsed 300 yards, and we had 301 total yards. So if we take a knee on one of those last plays, if we had to take one more knee, we might have been under that 300 total yard clip. So I just wanted to call that out real quick because we've come a long way. Jay,
yes,
I love the point that I loved how you talked about the offensive line. I believe this was now game 4 or 5 in a row where they had the same lineup. So I think that's something that's worth noting for sure. You had all the same guys. We haven't had that in quite some time, right? That we're trying to develop that continuity. I loved how they're obviously making some progress again, 4 to 5 games in a row with that same lineup, which is great. But no, I mean, shout out. I mean, it starts and ends with Darian Dupree. This guy was highly recruited, as we know, going into things. He's had a tough year. He's been banged up for the most part, so he hasn't been able to really showcase his stuff ultimately. And apparently, after this game, it was reported he's not even back to 100% really yet. So the fact that he was able to do what he did was great. So he had 17 carries, 131 yards, 2 touchdowns, 84-yard run. That's complimentary football at the end of the day, what we're looking for, what Luke Fickles talked about. what Wisconsin football has talked about for the longest time. The 84-yard touchdown run was the longest since Ches Malusi had his 88-yard run against Buffalo back in 2023. It was great to see an explosive play from the run game finally. But as far as Darian Dupree, he ran violent. He hit the cuts when he needed to. I want to give a quick shout out to Joe Brunner on that long run first off, because he got to that second level to get through that first crack with Darian Dupree. And then I was hoping Tyler was going to call it up because I didn't want to steal his mojo. But the best part about that whole run, besides Darian Dupree, was our boy Eugene Hilton, because that a boy. Okay.
One other guy too.
Okay. Who am I missing?
Tucker Ashcraft. Watch Tucker Ashcraft go flying up the middle of the field. Look at him. There he is.
Well, he's healthy, that's for sure.
Love that, dude. Still playing hard, dude.
Yep. But no, shout out to Eugene Hilton for deceiving that cornerback on that run. That was some good stuff.
Angle,
that's some stuff that you're taught by like a former NFL wide receiver, I feel like, and making plays like that. Yeah. So no, that was a chef's kiss right there, just watching that, because they showed that 3 to 4 different times.
Yep.
And it was crazy. That cornerback had zero clue what was going on. But that was great to see. Again, complimentary football. Love the first drive that we had, 216 plays, an 80-yard drive. Again, both by the run and the pass. That was good to see. But yeah, Jackson Aker also showed his stuff. Had one big boy carry, converted a third down for us. He had 2 carries for 12 yards. Got a couple first downs for us. Yeah, this is it feels good to talk something positive on the run game finally, that we can express our feelings and play that complimentary football.
Andrew said a hot take. Our freshman quarterback is a good game manager. I like him better than Billy Edwards. It's not even to me that he's a better game manager. I think he is. I don't know how far back I want to go, but he is a better dual threat than Luke Fickell has had.
Yeah, and he's taking care of the ball too. And you see that as a true freshman, when you take care of the ball, I think that speaks volumes, honestly. Not necessarily for the pass yards, but the fact that you're able to make. I know we literally just talked about, instead of taking the sack and running out of bounds, throw the ball away. He's at least taking care of the ball and not turning it over constantly. I think that's something that needs to be pointed out for sure, because that's, kudos to him. He knows, like to think, when he knows what's going on for the most part. But the fact that you're doing that as a true freshman, second game starting, technically third game playing, in the heart of your Big Ten season, mind you, playing against ranked teams, I think that that definitely speaks volumes, and that's going to be something that is good to carry into this game and obviously into the offseason.
So I looked up Treshka Kaluna's game logs. 7 touches is a career high, but his best game is definitely Purdue last year when he had 6 catches for 24 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, for sure. It was up there, but yeah.
They beat
definitely up there, one of his best games and his highest usage for sure.
Dude, Indiana is about to do some naughty things to Purdue this weekend. Oh my God.
That could be 70-0. 7-0.
Purdue is so bad.
Yeah.
All righty. We can jump in now, Jake. Defensive line.
Man, this unit has been carrying this team to whatever you want to think about this team in 2025. They have been the most consistent group on this team this year. And this makes me so happy to say, but this game was definitely one up front. D-line had 5 sacks. That's their 3rd straight game with at least 5 sacks, so that's amazing. 3 from the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Week, Daryl Peterson. I'm so happy for Daryl Peterson on senior day. He went absolutely nuclear. 3 sacks, 3 tackles for loss, 2 passes defense. He was making momentum play after momentum play. Dude was literally on cloud 9. He was the man the entire night. He showed a variety of pass rush moves, bull rushes, swims, unders. I mean, he was so good. I'm so happy for Daryl Peterson, a guy that has been a leader on this team, trying to, get everybody to believe in Fickell, get everybody to buy in. And he's the one that, instead of talking the talk off the field, he showed it on the field. And I couldn't be more happy for him. That's 2 of the last 3 weeks that Defensive Player of the Week has come from the Wisconsin Badgers. So don't look now, but we don't have a gauntlet in October next year. Okay? We do start out, I believe, is next year the year they play Notre Dame?
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So they start versus Notre Dame, which
I think that's in Ireland, isn't it?
Yeah, we're gonna beat their overranked ass, and then we're gonna go on a run because this schedule is gonna be a little bit lighter. They're gonna put some more money into this team. They already flipped a 4-star offensive lineman earlier today, so
and probably a linebacker coming soon.
A linebacker coming soon. I mean, things are starting to. There's optimism around this football team for the first time in a long time, and I said it last week. When this team started to take a downfall, it was 2022 when they lost to Illinois. I said, if they win this game, the tides will have turned. I'm feeling the tides turning, boys.
You said something already about the schedule, but looking at it, I think 5-7, if they win against Minnesota, I think 5-7 with the schedule would be decent with all things considered.
Losing a bunch of quarterbacks, injuries.
So to say the fact that we're on our 4th-string quarterback freshman,
yeah,
and that's where we're at. Obviously, losing several running backs, losing several offensive linemen, losing a tight end for a part of the year, losing Christian Allegro for a couple of weeks. I mean, losing Preston Zachman for most of the year.
We had a corner that had a lawsuit against the NCAA. He wasn't able to play the entire year. They were expecting him to be a big contributor this year. There's a lot of things that went against Wisconsin this year. So, just saying.
Looking at the linebackers, Mason Posa was all over the place. He was spying Altmaier. He was playing good in zone coverage. He was good versus the run. Christian Allegro with a big-ass club on his hand still managed to get a sack on 4th and 5. Absolutely destroyed the running back to get there. So that was awesome to see. And yeah.
The thing is huge, bro.
Gigantic club on his left hand.
That's not the Nick Perry club, dude.
After breaking his arm is still wild.
That thing is huge, bro. I'm sorry. That thing is so freaking big, dude. It's like this freaking big. But anyways, keep going.
And then I just want to shout out Mason Rieger just because you didn't mention him by name, but for him bringing consistent pressure. 3rd and 5 before halftime, also drew a holding penalty on the left tackle. On the 3rd and 15, he beat the right tackle for a sack and set up Wisconsin to go up 10-0 at halftime. To be able to grab 3 points before halftime is super clutch.
Yes.
So, all that said, Mike's going to talk about the secondary, but I just want to say it's hard in a tough season to be like, oh, who should we give credit to? Because everybody's rather looking to find blame. We might not have given Mike Tressel enough credit.
I agree.
That's fair.
I agree.
About secondary.
Yeah, man. So the secondary is for Luke Altmaier. He was 21 of 35 for 248 yards. I thought we still did a pretty good job. I mean, this is above 10.
Oh, all right. You have any thoughts on the secondary?
Yeah, I thought the secondary was good. There was a couple chunk plays that I saw, but outside of that, I thought they did a nice job mixing up some coverages. They did a nice job of when to press, when not to press. I thought, obviously, having as much pass rush pressure as you possibly can is good, and that helps the DBs as well. But having a guy like Altmaier, who, to your credit, talking about Tressel. Having a guy like Altmaier kind of look as rattled as he was in this game, I thought was pretty impressive and should be called out when talking about the secondary. We get Ad Mike back in.
I was going to say I'll give Luke Altmaier a little bit of credit. He was definitely trying to play through some injuries, but he was banged up for a reason, and it's not like the Badgers were trying to hurt him. He got banged up because like you said, he was feeling pressure.
The last couple of weeks, they've been hitting the hell out of people.
Absolutely. Altmaier was credited with just one turnover-worthy play. The Badgers batted down 4 balls and then forced 3 throwaways. So, I mean, they did a really good job getting after Luke Altmaier.
They sure did.
How about now?
Are we back? Yes.
Okay.
Secondary.
All right, cool. No, I was just gonna. I was just gonna say, you guys talked about Altmaier. I thought Deani Hill. I don't know if he's a good cover. He's not necessarily a good coverage corner. This dude's borderline linebacker, man. He had 8 total tackles, 7 solo. This dude can hit people. Like if you run at him, he will jack you up. This is the second or third game in a row, actually, where he's had seven or eight multiple tackles, and he has no problem jacking a running back or a receiver up. I thought he's been playing really well down the stretch lately. I also want to give Jameer Latimer a shout out.
Yeah, that dude can hit.
That dude can also hit. He had 4 tackles, 1 nice punch out. Unfortunately, he didn't go the right way for us on that. But I mean, that dude's coming along too. And hopefully he sticks around so we can get his younger brother to sign the dotted line in a week, and we can talk about that later. But no, Rico Hallman 3 tackles, Austin Brown 3 tackles. I mean, everybody 8. Matt Young 2 total tackles. But I mean, ultimately, yeah, this was one up front. I'm not, there's no secret about it. I mean, this front seven's been absolutely tremendous. I think Ben Barton's literally playing his way into getting not just an undrafted free agent spot, but I think he might even get picked ultimately because he's playing well. He talked about DP. No better time to be playing well than right now, especially going into the Minnesota game.
Man, Jameer Latimer was the Badgers' #1 graded player on PFF this week.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yes, he was.
Interesting. Alrighty. You guys ready to move into Minnesota?
Let's do it.
I'll never lose to Minnesota.
All right. So Jake wanted me to bring this graphic in and share this. This is Badger Recruiting shared this graphic for us, looking at the year-by-year winners for Paul Bunyan's Axe. So, Jake, I'm going to let you start with the Badgers offense, what you're looking for from the Badgers offense, what your goal is.
Yeah, so my goal for the Badgers offense is to allow us to dictate pace again, because the last couple weeks when I talk last couple weeks, I include the Indiana game. The first half, they did a nice job controlling pace. That's why they were able to stay into the game and not let Indiana go crazy. They controlled the pace versus Illinois. They did a nice job versus Oregon, I thought. And obviously, they won the game versus Washington. So the offensive line has done a really nice job allowing the Badgers, the running backs, to dictate pace and all that. So the real reason I wanted to bring this up is in the top right corner here. I know you can't see it, but it says that Minnesota has 63 wins, the Badgers have 63 wins, and there's 8 tied games. So this shit is deadlocked. And this could be a massive, massive swing. We're talking about an axe here, but this could be a massive swing for either program.
Fucker.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So my goal is to set up the run game. They've been playing with good pad level. Continue that and play with good physicality. Sorry, I had to.
You're such a fucker. All right, Mike, what are you looking for? What's your goal from the run game?
Jake, literally the same thing I wrote down. Pace. I wrote down pace, one word. Similar along the lines of Jake here, but I got to bring out the kitchen sink, all hands on deck. And when I say that, you got obviously Darion Dupree coming off of his week. Obviously, you want to play him. Got Jackson Aker, who's going to get some sick plays done for us, win the line of scrimmage. Yak, he was playing special teams and all that. We'll see if he gets a couple carries. I don't know if you want to. We'll probably ride the hot hand, I would say, for the most part. But yeah, I wrote down pace and all hands on deck. If that means Gideon Tuga can play, you get his ass out there and he's going to play for it. You put him on the field. It's Minnesota week. If you got a little ounce to give, if you empty the tank, you're exactly right. So, I mean, this game's going to be one in the trenches. I mean, Minnesota, they're second in the Big Ten for tackles for loss with 79, right behind Indiana. So, I mean, I think this is going to be a big boy football. Like, this is going to be classic Big Ten O-line on D-line, and that's on both sides of the ball, like both ways. So I'm looking forward to this. It's going to be a slobber knocker. Bring it the fuck on, Minnesota.
So me looking at it as the passing game is concerned, Minnesota averages allowing 244 passing yards a game. They're mid against the pass is what I'll say. They're right in the middle of college football. I would like to see, regardless of how many times he throws, I would like to see Carter Smith be efficient again. He was 8 of 11 on passes last week, so if he can be above 70% on completing his passes, I think that means good things for the Badgers, especially if the run game is operating efficiently. Jake, what are you looking for from the defense?
Yeah, so like I said earlier, the Badgers have had 5+ sacks in 3 straight games. And against the run, they've been really good all season long. The Gophers' run game is not good this year. That's kind of been their strong suit since Mighty Mouse has gotten over there. They average 100.8 yards per game. That's 128th in the country. That is bad. That's not good. So the Badgers, we can shut down the run. Not only do the Badgers have a freshman quarterback starting, so does Minnesota. This is the battle of the freshman quarterbacks for the Axe, a very big game for both programs. And pretty crazy that a couple of 19-year-old kids are going to determine the future of these multi-million-dollar teams here.
Yeah, looking at the linebackers, I'm just hopeful that Mason Posa is not going to be limited. As far as Cooper Catalano goes, I need him to wrap up. He missed 3 tackles last week, so my hope is that Mason Posa is good to go. Like Mike was saying, emptying out the tank, all hands on deck. Christian Allegro, same goes for him. He's only going to have 1 out of his 2 hands to put on the deck, but other than that, I need Cooper Catalano to wrap up on his tackles. And then obviously the goal is to get the Axe. Jake was just talking about it, both teams being in this position with the games being tied, starting freshman quarterbacks. I have to give a quick dig at PJ Fleck just for Scary Alvarez, who would want me to do so. Definitely can't let Minnesota win the Axe so that PJ Fleck can't take the Axe into his head. That's such weird behavior out of a dude.
No.
He would do something like that. So
I got to ask you guys. Did you guys see what Scary Alvarez said about Bielema after the Illinois game? Did you see his tweet?
Which one? I mean, the one where he's going to go to a buffet line and
dude, he said that great game from Wisconsin, as I'm paraphrasing, but he said Bielema's about to destroy a 24-hour fucking buffet.
Yeah.
It's like, dude.
The jacket that he was wearing, he was like 3 or 4 sizes like under too. Like on his sides, you're supposed to like zipper up the sides. He couldn't even do that, like zipper them. So what he was wearing was like he's like a triple XL. He was definitely wearing a double XL.
Dude, he looks like the third.
I'm sorry. But, yeah.
Dude, I was geeking at that tweet.
Why did you tell me your goals from the secondary? I'm going to see if I can find the tweet that he's referencing.
Yeah, for sure. So I got make the freshmen make mistakes as my goal. So Drake Lindsay, 2,145 yards passing, 15 touchdowns, 6 picks. That doesn't sound too bad, but he is the second lowest in the Big Ten with 6.4 yards per attempt. Now, the reason why I bring that up, that was a big problem for when the Badgers ran the air raid. That was with Braden Locke's problem. His yards per attempt were so low that we could not make any plays over the top. So when you're looking at this, when it's 6.4 yards per attempt, what does that tell you? There's not too many deep shots, right? So I think with our front 7 potentially generating pressure, I think could be a game for our secondary to, have a game. So that's why I want to throw that out there. They do have 3. Minnesota does have 3 receivers that they kind of distribute evenly. Brockington's got 460 yards, 4 touchdowns. Jaron Tracy's got 430 yards, 6 touchdowns, and Jalen Smith's got 351 yards for 2 touchdowns. So it is going to be distributed out equally for the most part. But when you see that 6.4 yards per attempt and when you're completing, I think that tells you that the ball might come out fairly quickly, but it won't go it doesn't go too far. So just something to watch. But I do think ultimately at the end of the day, Darius Taylor, I do know our running game, as far as running game goes, Minnesota is at the bottom, but I think for this game, Darius Taylor is going to ask to try and run the ball 20 times because he has proven that he can do it for him. I know he's been banged up for most of the year. I do think Minnesota ultimately does try to run in this game though, but no, I think this could be an opportunity for Rico to go off on a high note, get a pick to go out with his career.
Would love that. This is the tweet that Jake's talking about. Jake said that Scary tweeted, Bielema's about to destroy a 24-hour buffet when he gets back to Champaign tonight. And Andrew asked why we're fat-shaming Bielema. That's Scary Alvarez's shtick. He loves to do that. So
I'm sorry. That was funny. I laughed. It was funny. Jokes are funny.
That's what Scary Alvarez likes to do. He likes to fat-shame Brett Bielema, and he likes to talk about how weird PJ Fleck is for all the things that he does. So... Dude, had to give that shout out for Scary to end the show off. But we will be back next Wednesday. Jake and I will be back to discuss the next 4 Milwaukee Bucks games, which the first one starts in about an hour. We'll have one more Badger basketball game next week, and we will have the Badgers football finale next week as well. Hopefully we're talking about a whole bunch of W's next week. Other than that, Jake and I will put out more details for the special announcement we made at the beginning of the show, with Jake and I making our radio debut next Wednesday, which is going to be shortly after the show ends next week. So keep an eye out for more details on that as well. And thanks everybody for hopping in, commenting, the happy Thanksgiving wishes. And we will see you guys next week. And obviously, go Bucks, go Badgers, and Packers.
Happy Thanksgiving, guys.
Time to stack some W's, boys.